The focus of today's lesson is to put fractions into simplest form. In order to put fractions into simplest form, we need to find an equivalent fraction that does not have a factor that can evenly divide into the denominator and the numerator. In order to do that, we need to look at both the denominator and the numerator and to know what the factors are. The factors are any number that can evenly divide into that denominator or numerator. So if I look at 6, I know that there's a couple ways that I can make 6. There's few factors of 6. First of all, I have 1 and 6. I have 2 and 3. Those are my factors of 6. With 10, I have 1 and 10, 2 and 5, and that's it for 10. Now I need to look. Well, I see here that I have 2 for 6 and 2 for 10. That's the way I like to do it. If I can find even numbers, I'm going to just divide by 2 every time. So I take 6 divided by 2. If I do it to the numerator, I have to do it to the denominator. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. You can see we wouldn't have been able to use 5. We wouldn't have been able to use 3 because those numbers didn't go into the other number. Please pause for a second so that everyone can copy down the notes. When we're putting fractions into simplest form, we need to know the factors of both the numerator and the denominator. There are ways to put fractions into simpler form, but we must make sure that when we put in our final answer, it's in simplest form. There can be no factors that can divide evenly into the numerator and the denominator. Here's an example of that. Like I said, if I find two even numbers, I like to go and divide them by 2 right away. So if I have 40, 50 seconds, and I know, okay, they're both even numbers, I'm going to divide by 2. So 40 divided by 2 I know is 20, and 52 divided by 2 I know it's even, so it's going to work. So I take 2, give it 5, 2 times 2 is 4, 5 minus 4 is 1, bring down my 2, 26. Okay, so 20 26ths. But I still have 2 even numbers, so I'm not done. Even if they weren't even, but I had 2 numbers that still had a factor that would divide evenly into them, I'm not done. So I take 20 26, I divide by 2. Now it's going to be a little easier. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 26 divided by 2 is 13. Well, now I think there's no number that can go into 13 except for 1. So I'm done. 10/13 will be my final answer. The big numbers that I have to, I'll hold up for a second. Please copy this down in your notes. Pause for a moment. Now there's a few numbers that I really need to know, and I really needed to try to divide my fraction by, divide both my numerator and denominator by if I'm going to figure this out. Those numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13. Now you may be saying, well, why aren't there any other numbers in there? Well, 1's not in there because once it's only divisible by 1, we're done. It's in simplest form. Well, 4 is not in there because if it's divisible by 4, it's also divisible by 2. However, if you see that it's divisible by 4, by all means, go ahead and do it. 6 is the same thing. It's divisible by both 2 and 3. 8, divisible by 2. 9, divisible by 3. 10, divisible by 2 and 5. 11 and 13 are kind of oddballs because they're both prime numbers. My recommendation is if you've tried 2, 3, 5, and 7 already, just try 11 and 13. If you're not quite sure and you're saying, well, it might be a multiple of 11 or 13, just list them out. I'd probably have them listed out before I even got going. So I just sit down and go, okay, 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, 110. And for 13, 13, 26, 39, 52, 65, 78, 91, 104, 117, and I could keep going if I had to. Just try them out. But 2, 3, 5, and 7 are the biggies that you need to know. So let's do a couple examples here. First example, I have 130ths. Okay, 130ths. This is an easy one. I see they both end in 0. They both end in 0. They have to be divisible by 10. And I know that's not a fact that we have to go to, but if I see that it's there, let's do it. So 130ths, I'm going to divide both by 10. If I do it to the numerator, I have to do it to the denominator. 100 divided by 10 is 10. 3 divided by 10, 30 divided by 10 is 3. Is there any number that can go into both 10 and 3 besides 1? No, there's not. That is my answer. I'd like you to just copy down this part right here. Please pause. Okay, here's another one that I can do. Okay, 120 45ths. Well, I know 45 can be divided by 5, and 120 can be divided by 5. Okay, beautiful. So I take 120 45ths, and I'm going to do the division because I'm not quite sure. So I take 120 divided by 5. 5 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. 12 minus 10 is 2. Bring down my 0. 5 goes in 24 times. Okay. Divided by 5. Divided by 5. I have 24. And I know off the top of my head, because I practiced my multiplication, that 45 is divided by 5 is 9. Now I have to think, okay, I take my 9. I'm looking for my factors of 9, so I take 9. I have 9, and I have 1 and 9. 2 doesn't work. Okay, 3 and 3. Well, does 3 go into 9? Yes. Does it go in 20? Okay, it goes in 24 as well, so I have to keep going. Divided by 3. Divided by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Is there any number that can go into both 3 and 8? No. So that will be my answer. Please copy down this part right here. Pause. Last example that we're going to do, and then I'm going to have you go on to Khan and practice for yourself. I have 72 45ths. Okay, this one's a little tricky. And I can't think of any number that's going to go into both. But what I can do is come off to the side. I take 45. And I say, okay, I know 1 and 45. 2 does 2. No, 2 can't work because it's not an even number. 3. I'm not sure, so let me do the work. 3 into 45. 3 goes into 4 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down my 5, and I have 15. 3 goes into 15 5 times. Okay, 15. So 3 times 15. Does 4 go into 40? No, 4 doesn't go into 45 because it would be 40 then 44. Does 5 go into... Oh, 5 does go into 45. 5 and 9. 6? No. 7? No. 8? Okay, so it has to be these numbers. Now, 5 can go into 45, but not 72. So let me get rid of that one. How about 9? 9 goes into 45. Does 9? Oh, that's right. 9 times 8 is 72. Okay, so let me take 72 45ths. And I'm going to divide both by 9. 72 divided by 9 is 8. 45 divided by 9 is 5. 8 fifths. Is there anything that can go into both 8 and 5 that can divide evenly in both? No, there's not. So that'll be my answer. Please copy down this right here. If you're not sure on a problem, try to work it out. Try writing out your factors.